Jack Miller adjusted his tie for the third time in 10 minutes. The massive chamber of the Galactic Council stretched around him, its ceiling so high that clouds sometimes formed near the top. He sat at the circular table with 16 alien species, watching his every move. 3 years. 3 long years of the same arguments. Jack glanced at his watch. The Valari representative had been speaking for 45 minutes now. The tall, insect-like being's wings shimmered with blue light as it gestured dramatically. "The human advancement rate cannot be ignored," the Valari said, its voice clicking through the translator. "They went from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary space travel in less than 100 years. This is not normal. This is not safe." Jack kept his face neutral, though he wanted to sigh. Beside him, Samantha Wright tapped her stylus against her datapad. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a tight bun, her blue suit perfectly pressed. She slid the pad toward Jack with a note. "Same speech as last week, and the week before." Jack gave a tiny nod. The Galactic Council had placed Earth under what they called protective observation, but what humans called a quarantine. No advanced technology transfers allowed. Limited trade, restricted travel, all while they evaluated humanity's readiness to join galactic society. The Valari finished with a flourish of its wings. "Therefore, I propose another committee to study the human psychological tendencies toward conflict." Jack's request to speak lit up on the central panel. The council chairperson, a gelatinous being named Ulo, wobbled slightly before acknowledging him. "The human representative may respond," Ulo said, its voice deep and bubbling. Jack stood, straightening to his full height. At 6 feet tall, he was shorter than many aliens, but taller than others. He had learned to use this middle ground to his advantage. "Esteemed council members," he began, his voice calm and measured. "Humanity thanks you for your continued concern for our development. However, I must point out that this is the 5th committee proposed to study human behavior in 3 years. He pressed a button on his console, bringing up a holographic display of data. "Our trade proposals have been rejected 18 times. Our requests for educational exchanges have been denied 22 times. Meanwhile, Earth remains under technological restrictions that no other new species has faced for this duration." The Duraxian representative, a muscular reptilian with red scales, leaned forward. "Because no other species advanced so quickly without outside help. It is unnatural." Jack smiled thinly. "Is innovation unnatural, Council Member Cragg? Is human curiosity so threatening?" "It is when coupled with your species' history of conflict," the Navari diplomat said, her feathered crest rising. "Your planet has known almost constant warfare. As did most of your worlds during similar development phases," Samantha cut in, her voice sharper than Jack's. "We've submitted historical comparisons proving this." Jack placed a gentle hand on Samantha's arm. They had practiced this routine. She played the slightly more aggressive role, making his reasonable requests seem moderate by comparison. "What my colleague means," Jack said, "is that humanity accepts reasonable technology restrictions. We understand your caution, but after 3 years we ask for clear benchmarks. What exactly must Earth do to prove itself worthy of full membership?" The chamber fell silent. The aliens glanced at each other. Jack knew this silence well. No one wanted to answer because they hadn't agreed on criteria. Some species never wanted humans to advance. Others saw potential in humanity. The politics were complex. Finally, High Chancellor Zextrell of the Morrigan Confederacy spoke, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "The human question is complex. Each species required different integration periods." "The Palaxians were approved in 6 months, Jack countered. "The Palaxians were not developing weapons at your rate," Zextrell replied. "Defensive technology," Jack corrected, "which we've been transparent about." The debate continued for another hour. By the end, the council had indeed formed another committee, the Committee on Human Cultural Integration Readiness. Jack kept his face professional, but inside he felt a familiar frustration burning. As the session ended, delegates filed out through various doors sized for their different physiologies. Jack and Samantha gathered their materials slowly, speaking in low tones. "Another delay tactic," Samantha muttered. "Earth can't keep its economy in suspended animation while they study us to death." Jack nodded slightly. "Governor Rodriguez won't be happy." As they walked toward the human embassy section, Jack's neural interface buzzed with an incoming message. Only high-priority communications got through the Council's security protocols. He blinked twice to open it. The message was short, encoded from Earth Command. "Sundown protocol initiated, confirm receipt." Jack's heart rate spiked, but years of diplomatic training kept his face calm. Sundown protocol. They had discussed this possibility, but he never thought Earth would actually do it. "Sam," he said quietly, "we need to talk in the secure room." Once inside the shielded chamber of their embassy, Jack showed her the message. "They're really doing it?" Samantha asked, eyes wide. "Leaving the Council process entirely?" Jack nodded. Earth must have finally gotten the gateway technology working on their own. "The Council will see this as confirmation of their fears," Samantha said. "Maybe," Jack replied, "but 3 years of begging for scraps with no clear path forward. I understand the decision." He activated the embassy's secure terminal and entered his highest clearance codes. New information flooded the screen, the full Sundown Protocol orders. Earth was withdrawing all human personnel from Council space. Completely. The massive colony ships that had been under construction in secret were ready. "We have 8 hours to evacuate all staff," Jack said. "Transport ships are already on their way." Samantha began organizing the withdrawal immediately. "What about the humans who've settled in Council space? There are thousands. Already being contacted through secure channels. Most will leave. Some will stay by choice." Jack looked at the plans again. "This has been in development for longer than I realized." As they worked through the night, Jack felt a strange mix of emotions. Relief that the frustrating talks were ending, anxiety about the Council's reaction, and a curious pride that humanity had found its own path forward. By morning, the human embassy was empty, terminals wiped clean. No note was left for the Council. Jack and Samantha were on the last shuttle watching the massive Council station shrink in the viewport. "What happens now?" Samantha asked. Jack looked at the final report on his datapad. All human outposts across Council space were being systematically evacuated. On Earth, the first massive colony ships were already leaving the solar system, heading for star systems beyond Council influence. "Now," Jack said, "humanity takes control of its own destiny." The shuttle accelerated, its new engines, built with technology Earth had developed in secret, carrying them home faster than any Council ship could follow. The Council chambers erupted in chaos. High Chancellor Zextral's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he tried to maintain order among the 17 species representatives. The massive view screens showed the same image from different sectors of space. Empty human outposts. "Order! I demand order!" Zextral's voice boomed through the chamber. The Duraxian representative, Crag, slammed his scaled fist on the table. "The humans have been planning this all along. While we debated, they prepared for war." "We don't know that," said the Navari diplomat, her feathers ruffled with anxiety. "There have been no hostile actions." Council Security Chief Mev Doran stepped forward. The tall, gray-skinned alien touched controls on his wrist device, changing the main display. "This footage was taken 6 hours ago. It shows the human mining colony on Terrace 4. The screen showed an orderly evacuation. Humans boarded transport ships taking only essential personal items. Equipment was shut down properly. Some machinery was even left behind. Similar scenes have played out at all 53 human outposts in Council space," Mev Doran continued. "They're leaving, but they're not destroying anything." "What about Earth?" asked Councillor Aripax of the Thalasian Confederacy. "Our observation fleet reports unusual activity." Mev Doran changed the display again. "Our long-range sensors show massive ships leaving Earth orbit, larger than anything the humans have built before. The images showed enormous vessels rising from Earth and its moon. They were sleek and powerful, clearly designed for long-distance travel. "Colony ships," said Ithcal, the oldest and most moderate council member. "They're not preparing for war. They're leaving." "Where to?" Zextral asked. "All habitable systems within reach are under council protection or observation." No one had an answer. The room fell quiet as the implications sank in. "They must have developed better engines," Craig said finally. "They've been hiding their true technological level from us." Ithcal's tentacles waved dismissively. "We've had them under constant surveillance. How could they hide such advancements?" "The humans are clever," Mevdoran said simply. "And determined." Zextral stood taller, his robes flowing around his slender frame. "We need more information. Are there any humans still in council space who might provide insight?" Mevdoran consulted his device. "A few thousand have chosen to remain, mostly those with alien spouses or established businesses. We've identified one human of particular interest, Greg Peters, who works in our intelligence division." "Bring him here," Zextral ordered. "Immediately." Meanwhile on Earth, Navy Captain Alan Foster stood at the massive window of Luna Command Center. Below him, the last civilian transports were boarding. Earth looked peaceful from this distance, its blue oceans and white clouds giving no hint of the massive operation underway. "Status report," Alan said, not turning from the window. Lieutenant Diana Cruz approached, her uniform crisp despite 30 hours without sleep. "Sir, evacuation progress is at 99.8%. The last civilian transports will depart within the hour. Military vessels are maintaining defensive positions until all civilians are clear." Alan nodded. "And the colony ships?" "The first wave has already reached the jump point. Second wave launches in 6 hours." Alan finally turned to face the command center. Dozens of officers worked at stations coordinating the largest movement of humans in history. Operation Quiet Exit had been years in the planning, waiting for the right moment. When Earth scientists finally developed their own version of faster-than-light travel that didn't rely on the Council's controlled network of jump gates. "They'll figure it out soon enough," Alan said, watching another massive colony ship rise from Earth. "Have we received any communication from the Council?" "No, sir," Diana replied. "But their observation fleet has increased activity. They're scanning our ships, trying to understand the new drive signatures." Alan smiled slightly. "They won't. The phase shift technology operates on principles their science hasn't explored yet." Diana looked troubled. "Do you think they'll try to stop us?" "They can't stop what they can't catch," Alan said. "And by the time they realize what's happening, most of our people will be beyond their reach." He turned back to the window, watching as another colony ship, carrying 50,000 humans, rose majestically from Earth. "What about the Council diplomats? Jack Miller and his team?" "Already on their way back. They should arrive within the day." Alan nodded. "Good. I want to hear firsthand how the Council reacted to an empty embassy." Back in the Council chambers, Greg Peters stood calmly before the assembled representatives. At 45, he had worked in the Council's intelligence division for 7 years. His dark skin contrasted with his gray suit, human fashion against the backdrop of alien architecture. "Mr. Peters," Zextral began, "your people are leaving Council space without explanation. As a human still working with us, perhaps you can provide insight." Greg's face remained neutral. "High Chancellor, I have as many questions as you do. I received the same message as other humans, an option to return to Earth or remain here. And you chose to stay?" Craig said suspiciously. "Why?" "My life is here now," Greg answered simply. "I have friends among the Thalasians. I enjoy my work." "What can you tell us about Earth's sudden technological leap?" Mevdoran asked. "Our sensors detect unusual propulsion signatures from the human ships." Greg shrugged slightly. "I'm an intelligence analyst, not a scientist. But I can tell you this. Humanity didn't leave because we were afraid of you. We left because we didn't want you to be afraid of us." The chamber fell silent at his words. "Explain," Zextral demanded. For 3 years, Earth tried to join your community as equals. For 3 years, we were treated as dangerous children. Eventually, we decided to find our own path. Greg's voice remained even. The Council feared human potential. Now you'll never know what we might have accomplished together. Is this a threat? Craig growled. No, Greg said. Just a missed opportunity. After more questioning, yielded little information, Greg was escorted back to his quarters under guard. That night, despite the security measures, he disappeared. In his place was a data drive containing a single file. Classified research suggesting that humans possessed a unique neural architecture, allowing them to interface with technology far more efficiently than any known species. The research concluded with a projection. Human brains might be capable of direct integration with artificial intelligence systems at a level previously thought impossible. The Council's worst fears about human potential were not only justified, they had been too limited. 2 weeks after humanity's sudden departure, the Galactic Council received a simple message from Earth. The communication came through standard channels, appearing simultaneously on all Council systems. High Chancellor Zextrel called an emergency session to address it. The message glowed on the main display in the Council chamber. We respectfully withdraw our application for Council membership and declare our intent to pursue an independent path forward. Our borders are now closed to Council vessels. We wish you peace. No signature, no explanation. Just a clear statement of intent. This is outrageous, Craig the Duraxian bellowed, his scales flushing a deeper red. They cannot simply declare their borders closed to us. We have authority over all civilized space. Councillor Ithkal's tentacles curled thoughtfully. Actually, they can. There is precedent. The Zorn Collective withdrew from Council oversight 3 centuries ago. The Zorn retreated to a single star system and stagnated, Craig countered. Humans are spreading to unknown regions. Mev Doran, the security chief, stepped forward. His gray skin looked paler than usual. We have detected unusual energy signatures from the Sol system. Our long-range probes show massive engineering projects underway. He displayed the sensor readings. Around Earth, structures were taking shape. Orbital rings that dwarfed any previous human construction. Near Jupiter, enormous facilities harvested resources from the gas giant. At the edge of the solar system, strange energy patterns suggested even more mysterious activities. How is this possible? Asked the Navari diplomat. They didn't have this capability 2 weeks ago. I believe they did, Mev Doran said. They simply concealed it from us. The Council erupted in argument. Several species demanded immediate military action before the humans could further consolidate their position. Others counseled caution. Zexitral raised all 4 of his arms for silence. Before we decide on a course of action, I have invited a human scientist who chose to remain in Council space. Dr. Karen Bell has worked at our Xenobiology Institute for 5 years. A door opened, and a middle-aged human woman entered. Her brown hair was streaked with gray, her posture confident despite the tension in the room. Dr. Bell, Zextral said, can you explain what your species is doing? Karen looked around the chamber calmly. I can tell you what I know, which is limited. I chose to stay because my research here is important to me. Many humans made similar choices. But what are they building? Craig demanded. The future, Karen said simply. Humanity was held back here, treated as dangerous children despite our best efforts, so we decided to build our own future. These energy readings, Mev Doran said, indicating the display. They suggest technology far beyond what humans officially possessed. Karen nodded. Earth has been developing in parallel tracks for years. What we showed the Council was only part of our progress. It was a defensive measure, given the restrictions placed on us. You lied, Craig growled. We selectively shared, Karen corrected, just as every Council species did during their integration period. The difference is that humans were kept in that period 3 times longer than any other recent species. Ithkal's voice was gentle but firm. What is happening at the edge of your solar system? Those energy patterns match no known technology. Karen hesitated. I don't have clearance for that information, but I can tell you this. Humanity is not your enemy. We simply chose a different path than the one offered here. After she left, the council continued debating. In the end, they voted to send a diplomatic message to Earth requesting clarification and negotiations. Earth did not respond. 1 month later, in deep space beyond the council's monitored regions, the colony ship Aurora cruised at speeds previously thought impossible. Inside, Chief Engineer Paul Rogers stood in the central hub, surrounded by holographic displays showing the ship's systems. The Aurora was a marvel. 3 miles long, carrying 100,000 colonists in comfortable quarters, with manufacturing facilities, farms, and everything needed for a self-sufficient journey. But its most remarkable feature was invisible to the naked eye. Neural interface network at 98% efficiency, reported Sarah Lopez, Paul's assistant. Her fingers didn't touch any controls. Instead, she communicated directly with the ship's systems through the neural implant at the base of her skull. Technology forbidden in council space. Good, Paul said. And the integration layer? AI systems are fully synchronized with the crew interface. The ship is happy. Paul smiled at her choice of words. The Aurora wasn't just a vessel. It was a partnership between human consciousness and artificial intelligence, each enhancing the other. The neural network allowed thousands of crew members to share information instantly, working as a unified organism while maintaining their individuality. This was what the Council had unknowingly feared. Not human weapons, but human evolution. The neural integration that Greg Peters had hinted at in his parting message to the Council was now reality. Paul's neural implant pulsed with an incoming priority message. Admiral Ethan Parker wanted to speak with him. Paul accepted the connection and the Admiral's face appeared in his mind's eye. Paul, we've detected Council vessels approaching the outer marker. A small fleet, likely a scout force. Paul frowned. Hostile? Unclear. But they're moving faster than we anticipated. Their drive technology has improved. Not as much as ours, Paul said confidently. No, the Admiral agreed, but enough to be concerning. How soon can the Aurora reach Phase 2? Capability? Phase 2, the next evolution of the human-AI partnership. Complete neural immersion, allowing humans to exist both in physical form and as digital consciousness simultaneously. We're close, Paul said. The colonists are adapting to the neural interface faster than expected. The ship's AI is learning from each interaction. I'd estimate 2 weeks until we can attempt a controlled Phase 2 transition. The Admiral nodded. Good. The Council is pushing harder than we hoped. We need to be ready. After the connection ended, Paul stood quietly, feeling the subtle hum of the Aurora through his feet. Around him, hundreds of crew members went about, their duties, many using neural interfaces rather than physical controls. They still don't understand what we're becoming, Sarah said softly. Paul nodded. The Council thinks in terms of weapons and territories. They can't imagine a civilization that exists as much in digital realms as physical ones. Through his neural implant, Paul could sense the collective consciousness of the Aurora's crew and AI working in harmony. Thousands of minds linked but distinct, sharing information at the speed of thought. It wasn't control or domination, it was evolution. The Council's fear had driven humanity away, but in doing so, they had accelerated humanity's transformation into something new, something that would soon return to known space, not as supplicants, seeking membership, but as a new form of life offering a different path forward. Paul sent a thought through the ship's neural network. Prepare for acceleration. The Aurora responded instantly, its revolutionary engines pushing it faster into the unknown. 6 months after humanity's departure, the Galactic Council found itself deeply divided. The massive circular chamber, once a place of orderly debate, had become a battlefield of shouting matches and political maneuvering. Today's emergency session was no different. The human threat cannot be ignored any longer, bellowed Cragg, now the leader of what had been dubbed the militarist bloc. The Duraxian stood with 5 other species who favored immediate military action against Earth. Our scout fleet has confirmed the existence of massive structures throughout the Sol system. They are building weapons. Across the chamber, Ithkal's tentacles waved in dismissal. As head of the diplomatic faction, the elderly alien advocated for renewed contact attempts. We have no proof these are weapons. The humans have taken no hostile action against us. Their silence is hostile, countered Zexatral, who had surprised many by joining the militarists after centuries of moderate politics. They ignore our communications while building technology beyond our understanding. In the center of this argument stood the newest faction, the isolationist collective. Litar. By the insectoid Volari, they proposed establishing a permanent quarantine zone around human space, cutting off all contact. Let them evolve in their own direction, the Volari representative clicked through its translator. We need not understand them to recognize the wisdom of separation. For hours, the debate raged without resolution. Finally, a side door opened, and Security Chief Mev Doran entered with Dr. Karen Bell. The human scientist had become an unofficial consultant to the Council on Human Matters, though some questioned her loyalty. Dr. Bell has important information, Mev Doran announced. The chamber quieted as Karen stepped forward. 6 months among aliens had not diminished her confidence, though her face showed the strain of being caught between worlds. Long-range scans have detected unusual energy patterns at the edge of human space, she began. My analysis suggests these are not weapons tests, but rather evidence of a new form of faster-than-light travel. She activated the central display, showing energy, patterns unlike anything familiar to the Council. Traditional jump gate technology, which the Council controls, creates a stable wormhole between fixed points, Karen explained. This new human technology appears to create temporary phase shifts in space-time itself. The ship essentially moves between layers of reality. The Council members murmured in confusion and concern. Impossible, said the scientific advisor to the Thalasian delegation. Such technology would require energy manipulation beyond any known physics. Beyond your known physics, Karen corrected gently. Humanity has been exploring alternative theoretical frameworks for decades. The Council's restrictions actually accelerated this research by forcing us to find different paths. What does this mean for us? Asked Ithkal. It means, Karen said with simple directness, that humanity no longer needs the Council's jump gate network. We can travel anywhere without your infrastructure or permission. The implications landed like a physical blow. The Council's control of faster-than-light travel had been its greatest leverage over emerging species for millennia. Craig's scales darkened with rage. This confirms everything I've warned about. The humans have broken the fundamental balance of galactic power, Zextral raised his arms for order. The militarist bloc calls for an immediate vote on sending a battle fleet to the edge of human space. We must show strength while we still can. Despite objections from the diplomatic faction, the vote passed by a narrow margin. The Council would dispatch a scout fleet of 20 warships to the boundary of human territory as a show of force. As the session ended, Karen walked quietly beside Mev Doran. They're making a mistake, she said softly. The security chief glanced at her. Are you suggesting humans would attack Council vessels? No, Karen replied. I'm suggesting the Council still doesn't understand what it's facing. 2 weeks later, aboard the Duraxian flagship Claw of Justice, Commander Vexilor stood on the bridge. The massive warship led 19 others toward the designated coordinates at the edge of what was now being called human space. Status report, Vexilor ordered. His Obrais, second in command, checked the tactical display. All ships in formation, weapons at ready status. We will reach the boundary in 10 minutes. Any sign of human vessels? No, sir. Long-range scans show nothing but normal space. Vexilor nodded. This mission was simple. Approach the boundary, demonstrate the Council's military might, and withdraw. No engagement unless the humans initiated hostility. Sir, the sensor officer suddenly called. I'm detecting unusual energy readings directly ahead. Before Vexilor could respond, space itself seemed to ripple. Where there had been nothing, a ship appeared, a human vessel unlike any the Council had encountered. It was smaller than the Duraxian flagship but radiated power that made the sensor officer gasp. "The energy signature is off the charts," she reported. "Its hull is changing." Vexlor saw it too. The human ship's surface flowed like liquid metal, with patterns of light pulsing across it in complex rhythms. "Open a communication channel," Vexlor ordered. Before his communications officer could comply, every screen on the bridge lit up with the face of a human female. "Greetings, Commander Vexlor," she said. "I am Commander Lisa Hayes of the Earth vessel Quantum Shift. We detected your approach." Vexlor maintained his composure, despite his surprise at her knowing his name. "We are conducting a standard patrol mission along Council borders." Lisa smiled slightly. "With 20 warships? That seems excessive for a patrol." "The Council has concerns about recent human activities," Vexlor said stiffly. "Yes, we know," Lisa replied. "Your long-range scans of our system were detected. Your debates have been monitored. Your fears have been noted." Vexlor felt a chill. How could they know the content of Council debates? "You stand at a crossroads, Commander," Lisa continued. "The Council sent you here to show strength, but I'm here to show possibility." The image changed, displaying visions that made the entire bridge crew stare in wonder. Worlds where human cities merged seamlessly with natural environments, vessels that seemed alive, their systems merging with their crews, humans working alongside artificial intelligences in perfect harmony. "This is what we're building," Lisa said as her face reappeared. "Not weapons, not empire. Evolution." Vexlor found his voice. "The Council will never accept such uncontrolled advancement." "We're not asking for acceptance," Lisa said gently, "only understanding that our path is our own. Return to the Council with our message. We wish for peace, but we will not be constrained." Before Vexlor could respond, the human ship rippled again and vanished, leaving no trace but the lingering images in the minds of the stunned crew. The scout fleet returned to Council space with no recordings of the encounter. All sensor data had been wiped clean. Only the testimony of 20 crews remained as evidence of what they had seen. The age of human containment was over. The age of human transformation had begun. 1 year after humanity's sudden departure from Council space, life had found a new normal. The Council continued its debates, species traded and occasionally squabbled, and the great machinery of galactic politics ground on. The human question remained unresolved, but had been pushed to the background as more immediate concerns took precedence. Until today, the emergency alert sounded throughout the Council station, a tone not heard in decades. Species representatives rushed to the chamber, security personnel took up positions, and rumors flew through the corridors. A human ship had appeared at the main Council hub. Not at the border, not in distant space. Here, at the very center of Council authority, and it was unlike any vessel ever seen. High Chancellor Zextral called the session to order, his 4 eyes scanning the chamber. The militarists, diplomats, and isolationists sat in uneasy proximity, their divisions momentarily forgotten. "A human vessel has requested permission to dock," Zextral announced. "Its pilot wishes to address the full Council." Craig's scales flushed dark red. "Deny the request. This is clearly an infiltration attempt." "The ship is alone," Security Chief Mev Doran countered, "and carries no detectable weapons." "What kind of ship is it?" asked Ithkal, the voice of the diplomatic faction. Mev Doran hesitated. "We cannot classify it. Its design is unlike anything in our records. Scans indicate it's partly crystalline, partly organic with systems our sensors cannot identify." The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. After heated debate, the Council narrowly voted to allow the human representative to speak, with maximal security precautions. An hour later, the massive doors to the chamber opened. A single human woman walked in, escorted by 6 armed guards. She wore a simple white jumpsuit without insignia. Her short brown hair framed a face that looked remarkably young for someone in such an important position. "I am Commander Lisa Hayes," she said, her voice carrying easily through the vast space. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." Zexatral acknowledged her with a slight bow. "The Council recognizes the human representative. State your purpose." Lisa looked around the chamber calmly, making eye contact with various species representatives. "I come with a message from Earth and all human colonies. We wish to establish new relations with the Galactic Council." "Your people withdrew from Council space," Craig said harshly. "You closed your borders." "Yes," Lisa agreed. "We needed time and space for our transformation. That initial phase is now complete." "Transformation?" Ithcal leaned forward, tentacles curling with interest. "Please explain." Lisa nodded and raised her hand. A small device in her palm projected a hologram in the center of the chamber, a three-dimensional image of Earth and its surrounding space. The planet was surrounded by magnificent orbital rings, while the moon hosted sprawling cities under transparent domes. "1 year ago, humanity stood at a crossroads," Lisa said. "The Council saw our potential as a threat. We saw it as our future. We chose to develop that potential away from those who feared it. The hologram changed, showing humans interfacing directly with technology, their neural implants allowing seamless communication with artificial intelligence systems. We have achieved a technological singularity," Lisa continued, "a perfect union of human consciousness and artificial intelligence. We've re-engineered our bodies, our ships, and our very society." Several council members shifted uncomfortably. Others leaned forward, fascinated. "We left not to hide, but to transform," she told the silent chamber. "We knew our path would frighten you, and fear leads to conflict. We chose separation out of respect." "And now?" Zextral asked. "Why return to us?" "To offer a choice," Lisa replied. "You can maintain distance from human space and continue your own path, or you can accept a carefully managed cultural and technological exchange program." The hologram shifted again, showing worlds where technology and biology had merged seamlessly, where human minds connected across vast distances, where the barriers between reality and imagination had blurred. "We are still human," Lisa assured them, "still driven by compassion and curiosity. We don't seek domination, but we will not be constrained." The Council erupted in questions, concerns, and debate. Some saw opportunity, others danger. Lisa answered patiently, explaining that humanity had evolved, not into conquerors, but into explorers of both inner and outer space. "Your technology," said the Thalasian scientific advisor, "it breaks fundamental laws of physics as we understand them." "No," Lisa corrected gently. "It operates by laws you haven't discovered yet. We can help you understand if you wish." Hours passed as the questioning continued. Finally, Zexatral called for order. "The Council must deliberate on your proposal," he told Lisa. "This is unprecedented." Lisa nodded. "I understand. My ship will remain at the designated coordinates. When you've reached a decision, I will return." As she left the chamber, the arguments resumed with even greater intensity. The future of relations between humanity and the Council hung in the balance. In Earth orbit, Fleet Admiral Ethan Parker watched the proceedings through Lisa's neural feed. Around him, thousands of ships stood ready, vessels that merged human consciousness with advanced AI, their hulls flowing like liquid crystal, their drives capable of bending reality itself. His executive officer, Nicole Ward, stood beside him on the observation deck of the flagship Ascension. Through the vast window, Earth glowed blue and green below, its orbital rings shimmering with lights from millions of inhabitants. "Did we do the right thing?" Nicole asked, her neural implant pulsing softly at her temple. "Revealing ourselves. This way?" Through their neural link, Ethan shared his complex emotions rather than just speaking them. Hope for understanding, preparation for rejection, determination to protect humanity's new path regardless of the Council's decision. "We gave them a choice," Ethan said aloud, watching the Council's reactions through Lisa's feed. That's more than they ever gave us. On screens around them, data flowed from the 12 new colony worlds humanity had established beyond Council space. Each was developing in its own direction, exploring different aspects of the human-AI partnership. Some focused on art and culture, others on science and exploration. All were thriving. And if they choose conflict? Nicole asked. Ethan shook his head. They won't. Not once they understand. The neural network connecting all humans pulsed with shared purpose. They had evolved beyond the Council's fears into something new, neither purely human nor purely artificial, but a harmony of both. They had left as supplicants and returned as pioneers. The talks that had ended so abruptly a year ago would begin anew. But this time, humanity would not be asking for permission to join the galactic community. They were offering the Council a chance to join them in the next great leap forward.